Hello guys, in this video I'll show you how to create an advanced version of consumable log system. It will accumulate the amount of messages into the one when we are interacting with the same type of object. Also, we use rich text here so we can modify the color and the font for each type of messages through the proper database. So, let's get started. First of all, let's start with the enumeration that we have. It's elog message. I have added one more type of ID. It's an empty state, so we can pick, consume. When we have full amount, we have full type, and when we use the last item from the proper class, we have an empty ID. Now, let's go to the inventory component. Here, as you remember, we have this type of messages in some places where we need this type of event to trigger, and make sure that you are looking at remove from inventory type event in our inventory component. So when we consume something, we need to remove it from our inventory. Then right after the condition whether our current quantity equals 0, it means we have no item at all. Here at the end we need to add this type of message, update log widget, but with the ID of empty. So also let's go to our HUD-log class, and as you can see, create log text. Now it's not the function, but it's a custom event. So you need to remove your function and all the logic that was there. You need to cut and paste in the event graph, then create the new event. I have gone with the same name as for the function, create log text. For input, I use consumable base and log ID with log message enumeration here. The reason why we need the custom event, because the function, when function triggers, the variables we are storing in are overriding. So for the purpose of stacking in our inventory, the function isn't the option, so that's why I use the custom event. And when we delete the function, also make sure to go to player controller, and on the event update log widget here there will be the red one message, so that the function has been removed, and you need to clean and from GUI log pull a wire and search for our custom event, create log text. Or maybe you can go with creation just the new custom event and not delete the function here, but go with but leave it and go with just new custom event, so you won't need to remove anything. And here you just need to replace the function with the proper custom event. Take a look closely here. Now I'll show you that this system is not very complicated. It's very easy to implement, and actually That's all the logic we have. So let's start with the main function in our hardlog widget. So as you can see, I have created the variable. At the same time, it's log message enumeration here and store the value that we get from picking or consuming our consumable. So here I can use it without any wires. It's our local cached version. Also, I have created the last consumable here, the same type as we have here. It's consumable base class, and the logic is pretty much simple. We need to check whether our last consumable is valid. If it's not, it means that we are interacting with the object for the first time, and we store the reference to our variable, and then we create the child widget. Actually, it's the message we have in our consumable log. Then I provide the result of creation and store it to the variable. It's log message advanced. I created another type of widget here just to have the system be more flexible. It's pretty much the same layout as we have log message from the previous tutorial, as you can see here, but with some differences. So for this we'll return a little bit later. Now this type of logic is the same from the previous tutorial. We check whether the number of our children is higher than the maximum message count we want. So if it's true, we need to remove the first element. So when we, for instance, have 6 or 7 messages in a row, we need to remove the first and the second one, so it will imitate the updating our log. Now, when our consumable is valid, we need to check whether the class of our last consumable equals the class of a newly interacting consumable. If they are equal, it means that we need to update our widget. We don't need to create a new one, we just need to update it. Here, as you can see, it's update log message. It's the function I created. This one, and it's update our function with the last log ID and last consumable references. As you can see, last log widget is the reference which we have stored here, and with this update, actually our counter of an item that we are consuming or picking will increase or decrease. So we reuse the widget. And here you can see that we have a reset message timer. It's another custom event that we have here. Because every time we are interacting with an object, we have the message, but it won't last forever. It's unnecessary, so we need to clean it, and the timer cleans our message every 10 seconds. But when we are interacting with the same type of object, we need to update our widget and reset this timer, so this message will last longer. And whether we are not interacting with the same type of widget, our timer will continue ticking and then the message will be removed from our log. Also, whether our class is not the same as the class of a newly incoming consumable, then we need to rewrite our last consumable variable here with the new one, and you can see I have create new message. It's the call for this custom event, which actually fires this type of logic. So when we are interacting with the new kind of consumable, we create the new message and the message will be displayed in our log. So take a look closely at this type of logic. Next, we need to recreate this event so our logic will work in a proper way. Look at variables. Grid is the name of the vertical box I have here. Now, let's go to log message advanced. It's our child. On the event construct, we need to fire the update log message function. Next, we need to set the timer. And as you can see, I have the delegate for our timer. It's clear message. So when our timer, actually the remain time is 0, it will fire this custom event and our message will be removed from our parent. And when it's removed, the event struct will be triggered and our timer will be cleaned. To create this type of delegate, you just need to pull a wire from the event and search for create event. Then select our custom event here. It's another way of providing custom event delegates to the timer, so we don't need to have this type of unnecessary wires. Now let's take a look at update log message function. As you can see, it has log ID and consumable variables as the inputs. Then we also have this type of string variables. Each variable has its own text. So the variations we have in our log are the results of appending those strings in a proper way. Like this, like this, like this. And now let's take a look closely. We use consumable that we have. Then we search for consumable structure, break it, and use text as our message body. Message body is the name that we will have in our log. For instance, we are consuming water, and the water is the name for our message body. We can go to our database and see what I have provided as a text ID for each of my consumables. You can go with any name you want. For instance, if you consume cigarettes, you can have, if we have the message type when we pick something, plus or added cigarettes, we can have added the nice pack of cigars, and nice pack of cigars can be stored here. So let's move on. Next, log ID. We have switch on its type, so we can fire the proper function for each type of log message we have, for each action, whether we are adding, removing something, or whether we have the full stack of our inventory in our inventory, or whether we have no items of the proper class. I have created another 4 functions just in case to have this simplified look of my blueprint. I don't like the messy one, and with this type of functions we have here, if we don't have this type of logic encapsulated in our function, we'll have very messy blueprint, and it's not pretty much reusable. So add log message for the adding, remove log message for removing, full log message for full stack, and empty log message for the empty. Now let's begin with add log message. Here I have the counter. Actually, as you can see, we have add stack count integer variable here, and remove stack count integer variable. The logic is pretty much simple. When we pick something, we need to stack it. For instance, 1, 2, 3, 4 items, and so on. But when we remove something from our inventory, we need the same order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but with the negative value. I mean, not plus 1, 2, 3, but minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. For this case, we can't go with the one type of variable. For instance, if we are adding here in the removing logic, we just can't go with our variable minus 1 and so on, because the order will be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it just won't work. So for both operations we need the same type of logic, but 2 different variables. Also, to have the logic work in a proper way, when we are adding something here, we need to reset. If it's our add logic, we need to reset our remove variable, so it's 0. Because when we are using, for instance, we are consuming something and picking the same type of object, those variables will be masked. So each function needs to reset the opposite type of variable for counting. So when we pick something, we are adding it to our, we are incrementing our counter. Next, we need to transfer our counter to be the string, so the append logic will be much cleaner without this variation. I like to have the append node with only strings without any conversion nodes. Let me demonstrate you what type of text I have for all of my operations. For the add text, it's just plus. For remove text, it's minus. For the full text, it's full stack off. For the empty text, it was last something. Message body is clean, and quantity text is clean too, because they are overwriting with the values we have from our database here and with the integers we have here and here. And set text to our message. Also make sure that our message type now it's rich text block, not just text, not this one, but this one. Rich text we need to have some pretty much flexible variations with each kind of message. So use rich text block here, and as you can see in the appearance I have text style set, and here we have the database that actually, as you can see here, have tag for each operation and its own variation of customization. For this one, we'll go a little bit later. Now let's continue with our logic. So the add operation, we have append. The format is the following: plus, number, space, and what we are adding. So it's add text, our quantity text. Now here, as you can see, it's a space, sign, and message body. Also, we have this type of the format string. Next, we need to append this type of logic. As you can see, it has decorators for the rich text. So when we use our format here encapsulated between these decorators, the values we have in our rich text here will be applied to our text. For this one, we'll go a little bit later, as I said. Now let's take a look at remove log message. So, as I said, we are incrementing another type of variable, then we reset the previous or the opposite type of logic variable. Then we provide the quantity text with this integer variable, this. Logic here is the same. Remove, it means minus quantity, space, and our message body. Also, another type of decorator for the rich text, and set it all to our text. For the full log message, it's just setting text, but in this particular way. Full stack of spacebar and type of what we are, that's what we have in our inventory. Also, decorator for the rich text, and the same but for empty log message. It was last, spacebar, something, decorator, and update. So take a look closely. I'll show you each function one more time. This, it's add, it's remove, it's full, it's empty. Now the whole logic together. And event graph. So now let's take a look at our rich text database. So to create the rich text database, you just need to select miscellaneous, then data table, and pick row structure, search for rich text style row. Then we open it and it's a simple database. Row name, it's the tag for the decorator that we have. Just wait here. So for instance, if we have the full here, it's the same as here. Next, each type of decorator has its own customizations. So for each type you can use different fonts, different font sizes, colors, and so on. You can even go with the images in your text. As you can see, for the add operation I have the green color, for removing something the red one, and when we have empty or full type of operations I have the yellow color. So to have text colored with our rich text, we need to go with this kind of operation, and as you can see, the opening tag is full, the closing tag is this type of signs. So everything that is in between these two tags will have impact from the rich text. So all my message will be colored with the proper color. But you can have one string, one word colored with this one, then we can go with another append, so we can have the multicolored variations. But for my purpose it's unnecessary. So that's all for this tutorial. I hope you like it. So take one more time a look. Sorry, not this one. Well, I hope you understand everything. If not, please ask your questions in the comments or stop the video, pause and take a closer look one more time and subscribe, leave your feedback and see you soon.